The Steadfast Tin Soldier, one of the more darker fairy tales, adapted by Bertie Killian, illustrated by Jim Salvati. Once upon a time, there were 25 twin soldiers in a one box. Each was brave, each was handsome, and wore a smart blue uniform. One soldier, Will, had only a single leg. He been made last, and the toy maker had run out of tin. Will stood just as straight on his one leg as the others did on two. And he was just as brave and handsome. The tin soldiers were given a boy on his birthday. Will looked around and found that he was in a nursery. There were many other toys in the room. On the far side of the table, he saw a castle made of paper. In the doorway of the castle stood a beautiful paper maiden. Will fell in love with her at once. And there was no Jack-in-a-Box in this story. I wonder why. Anyways, the paper maiden, whose name was Alyssa, was a very graceful dancer. One arm was raised above her head, and one foot was lifted so high behind her that Will thought she had leg, only one leg, just like him. She wore a dress made of sky-high blue gauze and with a blue ribbon on one sleeve. She would make a perfect wife for me, thought Will. He gazed and gazed at the paper maiden, unable to take his eyes off of her. Evening came, and the boy put all the soldiers except Will back in the box. When it grew dark, the toys began to play together. The tin soldiers stood stiffly at attention and watched Alyssa. She stood still and looked at him out of the corner of her eye. The next morning, the boy took a soldier and stood him on a windowsill. All of a sudden, a gust of wind blew Will fell out of the window and his hat stuck in the dirt between stones and the street below. Soon it began to rain. The rain came down so hard the water ran in torrents down the street. Will bravely waited for the downpour to end. Then they made a paper. When it was over, two boys found a toy soldier. They made a paper boat, put Will in it, and floated him down a canal. The canal emptied into a dark tunnel. The waters were so swift that the paper boat whirled and tipped dangerously, but the tin soldier held fast, was very brave. How he wished that the beautiful Alyssa could be there with him. Then would have been happy. A big rat who lived in the tunnel suddenly loomed up beside the boat. "Where's your pass?" the rat demanded. "Give me your pass at once." The tin soldier remained still and steady. The rat swam as fast as he could, but the boat whirled away too fast in the current. Soon the rat was left behind. Will could hear the sound of the rat's voice faint as the boat whirled on. He let out a great sigh of relief. Will wondered what was in store of him, and next, and if he would ever see the beautiful Alyssa again. The current grew stronger and stronger, pulling the boat along faster and faster. Just as Will began to see daylight at the end of the tunnel, he heard a terrible splashing. Will's boat was heading for a waterfall. He knew the poor soggy boat would never survive a waterfall, but there was no avoiding it. He pulled himself up and stood more bravely than ever on his one leg. Once the soggy paper boat was caught in the rushing waterfall, it quickly filled with water and sank. This certainly must be the end, thought the tin soldier as he plunged swiftly down into the whirlpool. I will never again see the beautiful Alyssa, nor will I ever know how wonderful it would have been to watch her dance for me. Round and round he whirled. His shiny blue uniform caught the eye of a large fish. The fish stopped, looked Will over from head to toe, and then swallowed him in one gulp. The It was much darker in the fish than in the tunnel, but Will held himself as straight as he could. The fish seemed to dash around frantically for a time and then lay quiet. After a long time, there was a flash like lightning, and Will saw daylight again. The fish had been caught on someone's hook. Now it was in the kitchen, and the cook was preparing for dinner. My goodness, look at this tin soldier inside my fish, exclaimed the cook. She pulled Will out and wiped him off and brought him to the nursery. Will looked around and saw the box was where his brothers and the paper castle. His heart started to beat faster when he realized that he was home. The boy came into the nursery and looked at the tin soldier. "Where have you been?" the little boy asked him in an accusing tone. "You've been. You're damp, and you smell like a fish." Suddenly, he opened a window, tossed Will into the flower garden below. Will lay among the petunias and felt sad, but he remained brave. Just then, a gentle wind blew over him. It blew through the house, straight and caught up Alyssa, and blew her straight out of the open window into the garden. With a graceful little flutter, the paper dancer landed next to Will among the petunias. The two who looked at each other with beating hearts and adoring eyes. Then they slid very close together. "Will you stay with me and be my wife?" Will asked. "Yes, forever and ever," she whispered. And that is exactly what Alyssa did. Will and Alyssa were married beneath the leaves of a low-growing plant. Sometimes, when the wind shone through the branches above, and the air was balmy and warm, the graceful Alyssa would dance for a husband. She always remained true to Will, as did a steadfast tin soldier to her. The end.